Hi everyone, my name is Tori, this is Novel Life, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have some walking red flags for you. So we all know what a red flag is in a hero. That's like, just stay away from him, you don't need to be with him. Like, there's a lot of books out there with those type of heroes, and I personally eat those heroes up. Like, I seek out those heroes, okay? And I'm going to be giving you some romance recommendations based on like men with these walking red flags, or men that are walking red flags, I should say. So this video is actually in collab with a bunch of people here on BookTube. It is with Sam from Sam Reads a Little, Cheyenne from That Tall Book Girl, McKay from Oh Hey It's McKay, and Nikki from Nikki and Bookland, and of course myself. So I'll have everyone linked in the description box below. But I am really excited because I put on some red lipstick for you guys. I have my villain lovers support group. They're not all villains, but they're like anti-hero, walking red flags, like all of that. These are just like bad boys that we should like definitely stay away from in like real life, but like I personally love them. So I have a decent list. I don't know how many other people put on their list, but I have a decent list to share with you. I had fun making this, so yeah, let's just go ahead and jump right in. So the first one is Dare from Even If It Hurts by Sam Mariano. So Sam Mariano writes a specific type of hero, I'm not gonna lie. They're very much anti-heroes, they're very much walking red flags. I mean, she writes a lot of them, okay? Dare is my absolute favorite, and the reason why he's my absolute favorite, because in this book we get to see inside of his head, so we get to see his reasoning for certain things of like why he's doing certain things, and let me tell you, it just is so unhinged, but like to him it's totally normal, and that's completely crazy to me, and I love getting inside of his head. Like, I really want to reread this book. I'm dying to reread it, so this might be an exclusive video that I do for my Patreon or something like that, but I'm dying to reread this. But basically, if you don't know what Even If It Hurts is, I'm talking about the men, but like really the whole book is really good. So basically we have Dare, Chase Darrington, that he goes by Dare. He, at the time at the beginning of the book, is actually dating someone else, and that girl walks into where our female character works and kind of just like is nasty to her, and basically goes that our female character gets on her shit list. So they kind of have this thing where like they're like bullying her a little bit, because it is, I think, their last year in high school. I'm pretty sure it's their last year in high school. But Dare starts like picking up on things with her that's like, I kind of like her, like our female character. So like over time, I read this so long ago, but I love this book. So like over time, there's like little things that happen. There's this pool scene right at the beginning of the book where she's like pushed into a pool, but she can't swim, and so like Dare goes to save her. And at that point I was like, everything up until this point has been a red flag, but this moment he's like the hero, and I am starting to feel something for him, and I loved it. I love this book. I love how everything plays out. Like, I love how possessive and obsessive he is too, but he has like all the walking red flags. He's a sociopath. Like, he has a lot of red flags, okay? But Dare is something else, and I absolutely love him. I absolutely love him. Also, this video is going to be very long because I'm going to be talking about a lot of people because I love all of these heroes. Okay, so the next one I have is actually from a new book that I recently read, and I got this book actually as a recommendation from Cheyenne, so I'm pretty sure she's going to have this hero on her list, but that is Tyler from the book Why Are You Here by Brianna Jean. So I have been in the mood for like a dark, toxic, just like one of those romances, right? And I put up on my Instagram stories, like, give me, like a vibe for this give me a book to match this vibe of this TikTok. And it was this guy playing guitar. Like, it was great. I loved it, right? This is the second time Cheyenne has recommended this book to me. I did this previously a couple weeks ago, and she put this in my little question box as well. So I read it. Unhinged. The toxicness of this story is crazy. But Tyler is he's, I would say, a rock star, but he's more like a rapper. So he's like in the limelight, he solo raps and stuff like that. So that's number one red flag, okay? Number two is that he cannot commit to save his life. He can't commit to a female character. He's only done hookups in the past. He's also just never found someone that like fits in with him and his group, where he has this like soulmate connection with right off the bat. Because like usually if you vibe with someone, it's going to be like long lasting, you know what I mean? So when he meets our female character, things are just completely unhinged. Like, this book is dark. It's very dark. It talks about a lot of sensitive subjects. It doesn't on a cliffhanger, I will say that. I have not continued, but Cheyenne did, and she said she loved it. I just read it more recently, so I haven't had the time to continue, but Tyler is another, like, walking red flag, because I feel like when you see him, he's, like, tattooed, like, basically head to toe, right? doesn't have a blank spot on his body, but like when you see him, like when he's introduced, you know he's a bad boy. He's not going to be good for our female character. He is going to do things to hurt her, and it's going to be great, and it is going to make for a great story, and that it did, and it was fantastic, and I loved it. That book was so fun, and I could not stop reading it. Like literally could not stop, and I couldn't put it down. It was like 2 a.m. when I finished or something like that. But the next one I want to talk about is Reich Meadows from Hot House Flower. So I absolutely love the Calloway Sisters series. I think that all the characters, Reich, Daisy, Rose, and Connor, they are absolutely amazing. I love their character development. I think Becca and Krista Ritchie hit it out the park with them. But Reich Meadows will always have my heart, okay? Now, he's a walking red flag only because he cusses ridiculous amount, and I absolutely love that. So I'm someone who, I filter myself for my channel, but like in a day-to-day life, I cuss a lot. That's just, it's words to me. It's kind of how I grew up. They weren't like bad words. I mean, they were, but it wasn't like anything bad or anything like that. And when I first met him and he was like cussing, everyone was like, oh, why are you cussing? And I'm like, I love this dude. So that was number 1. Number 2 is he literally does not give a fuck about anyone else's opinion. Like he does not care, and he's going to live his life the way he wants to, and fuck anyone else who says anything bad about it. Number 2. Number 3, he decides to have a thing with someone who is a lot younger than him. And when I met him and I knew he was going to have a thing with Daisy, and I was like, oh, age gap is my shit too. Also, it's forbidden because it's Daisy's brother, like Lo's best friend is Reich. So yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be a dark book, and it's not really a dark book, but he's a walking red flag, and I love it. Like, I just love him so much. So I definitely wanted to mention him. Now, so I will say this next book is a lot. It's a lot. It's very dark. It's not going to be for everyone. While I am a huge fan of Gianna Darling, the Enslaved duet is probably one of the darkest duets, like books, couple stories I've ever fucking read, okay? Now, when you see Alexander, like when you see him out in the open, he is this, I think he's a lord if I'm not mistaken. Like he is very British, very proper. So he doesn't look like a walking red flag, okay? But when you like get inside of his head and you see the things that he wants to do to Cosima, our female character, things get unhinged, okay? Like things go way out of hand. The things that happen in this book, specifically the first book, oh my God. I mean, it's a great story. Like, I love this duet. And there's very few people who can write a first book like this and yet still make me believe at the end of the book, at the second, in this case, the second book in the duet, that they love each other. Only Gianna. There's very few authors, but Gianna is one of them. And let me tell you, like, there is one thing after another with him in his head where he's like, oh, that's a red flag. Oh, that's a red flag. Oh, he's a bad boy. Like, he does some crazy ass stuff. And I was all here for it. Like, I loved it. Now, as a character, I feel like he has a lot of layers, and a lot of people won't understand him the first time you read it. You won't understand everything about him, but I've yet to reread it, but I know he's one of those characters who has layers upon layers upon layers, and you have to like read it a couple times to like really pick up on everything. But walking red flag, Alexander is it. So a lot of these heroes that I'm talking about, they're walking red flags, and they obviously are different things. Like some you look at them and you're like, walking red flag. Like, hands down, I see you and I can just tell, right? And there's some that you see, you're like, I don't really know if they're going to be a walking red flag. So Alexander is one of them, and Joey Lynch is one of them. Now, Joey Lynch is one of those characters that he is very much misunderstood, I feel like, with a lot of people, especially in these books. And the one person who sees through all that is Aoife, obviously, our female character in Saving Six and Redeeming Six. So their complete story is 2 books, technically. And with Joey, it's not, I mean, okay, I'm not gonna lie. He does kind of look like a walking red flag. I mean, like, he has this bad boy, I give no shits attitude, which that's my kind of dude. I really like that. He's confident, but he's not. He's like confident, but he's also self-conscious at the same time. He just has a lot of things going on in his home life that makes it hard for him to like really connect or really care about anything else outside of like what's going on in his world. And it really got me. These books are a lot more emotional than Binding and Keeping 13. So if you read those, these are a lot more emotional. They do talk a lot about different things in the sense of like, there's talks of suicide a lot in these 2 books. Joey really goes through it, but the beautiful story of Aoife and Joey are, Aoife knows he is a bad boy. She knows he has a lot of things going on, and everything is all messed up in his head, right? Like, he has a lot of things. He doesn't think the same way. but she still loves him regardless. And that's really what I love, is that even though like these people might be walking red flags or bad boys or whatever, have all these traits that are like, no, we love it, or you shouldn't really be with them, but you love it. A lot of the female characters understood that they are this way, and they still love them regardless. And that is what gets me. Okay. That's what gets me. And Joey Lynch has my heart, okay? I absolutely fucking love him. Okay, the next book I have to talk about is one that I also recently read, and that is Night from Fate of a Royal by Amo Jones and Megan Brandy. Okay, I'm going to say this. Megan Brandy and Amo Jones are not two of my favorite authors. I've recently read their stuff separately, and Amo is just like okay and average to me. I just don't think like she writes a certain way, and she writes with a lot of crazy things. Just like the way that she writes is very unhinged, I guess you can say. And it works for some people, and for me, it wasn't working, okay? Megan Brandy, her stuff is okay too. Like it's like the same thing. But for some reason, when I read Fate of a Royal, which is more of like a romantasy style book, I think it's both of their first like kind of take, you can tell who wrote the female character and you can tell who wrote the male character. And let me tell you, while Amo Jones, the female characters for her can be like completely crazy, she writes unhinged, walking red flag men so fucking well, especially Night. Like she did him so well, and I ate it up. I loved this book. It's okay. It's not gonna be for everyone. The first 50% is very, very slow, but it does pick up. It ends on a cliffhanger, so their story is not done. So it is a little bit dragged out, but Night is absolutely fucking bananas. Okay, like he is bananas, and in the best way, and I loved it. There's a quote literally in this book from our female character. I think it's from our female character's perspective, where she was like, if he's not over 6 foot and a walking red flag, I don't want him. And basically that sums up what Night is. He is literally over 6 foot. I think it's like 6'3" or something like that. He is one of four brothers, but he has a best friend who is basically like another brother to him. So there's 5 of them in total, okay? They are all crazy. They go to these wild AF parties. Our female character is just as wild AF. So he does things that literally make me like, there's a stalker part where he's like in her room for a certain time and you see his perspective. It's unhinged and I fucking love it, okay? It was just a great time for me, and I absolutely love Night. Like I think Amo Jones, she writes for those type of heroes and heroines too, if there's a heroine that's a walking red flag. But like just in this case, she wrote Night so fucking well, and I loved it. Loved it. The next book is not going to come as a surprise, and that's Credence by Penelope Douglas, and that is Caleb in Credence. So I'm not going to say anything specific about the story. We all know Credence, okay? It is taboo. It is good. It is a female character. She has Tiernan. She has a thing with her uncle, or step-uncle, should say step-uncle, and his 2 sons, all separately, okay? I'm not going to tell you who she ends up with, because that would be a spoiler. But my favorite character is Caleb, and that's who I'm going to talk about, because he's a legit walking red flag, and the first time that our female character Tiernan meets him, I will never, ever forget that scene until the day I die. When Tiernan meets Caleb, it is one of the most craziest scenes that I was like, why do I like this? That was one of the first times where I asked myself, wait, is there something wrong with me? Like, because I like this. So basically, Tiernan is like, it's midnight or late at night or something like that. She is up in her step-uncle's house. She's walking around. She sees she hears something in the garage. So she goes out there. There's a car parked, and there she sees Caleb. And at this point, she never actually met Caleb because he was like out in the woods doing his own thing. Caleb does not speak, so he doesn't like communicate with words. So when she first meet him, she's like, who are you? Caleb doesn't know who she is because he hasn't been home, right? So he literally starts like groping her, thinking like, oh, she's just a girl that like my brother brought home for sex, right? So he starts having all of this stuff happen to her, and she's like, whoa, what's going on? But at the same time, she's like, but wait, why do I like this? What is happening? And from that moment on, I fell in love with Caleb, and no one else matters in this book but Caleb. I'll tell you that. I love Tiernan, don't get me wrong. Caleb takes the cake, and I love him. I will forever love him, okay? Forever love Caleb. And the last book that I have to talk about is Phoenix from the Words. Phoenix is a rock star, and Phoenix is, I feel like out of all the heroes, he's besides Tyler from Why Are You Here, they are all definitely walking, talking, look like a red flag hero, and they are. Phoenix, this is a second chance romance, so I've talked about this a lot. This is one of my favorite books of 2021, 2022, but Phoenix is, like I said, a rock star. He meets Lennon when they're kind of like in high school. So the first part of this book takes place when they're in high school. It's like she's being bullied and something happens to where his friends are involved with that bullying, I think. And she doesn't like that, so they go their separate ways. Years later, they are back together and she comes into his life when he is like unhinged, on tour, going crazy, doing drugs, women, partying, all of that stuff. And the manager's like, we need someone to hold him accountable. And because you hate him, you can do that. And she goes on tour with them, and you know, obviously their love story kind of like goes from there. Like they have to heal and stuff like that. There's a lot of healing done in this book, which I loved, and I cried like 3 times, and that's fine. But Phoenix, literally from high school, you could tell like he was on the verge of becoming a walking red flag. I mean, a lot of people loved him, but he's definitely up there. He's definitely up there, and he's one of my favorites, and I will never forget Phoenix because I love him so much. But those are all my romance recommendations where the hero is a walking, talking red flag, which we love. Make sure you check out everyone else's video. I'll have them linked in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. For the emoji, drop me a red flag emoji. I think there's a red flag. If there's not a red flag, drop me like the kneeling emoji, like the female character kneeling, because like literally we kneel to these men. I kneel to these men, okay? Just saying. But that's all I have. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content from me. As always, I hope you're living a novel life, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.